Hello everyone, today we're going to be using this PhET simulator to look at the kinetic molecular theory, which is oftentimes just shortened to kinetic theory. And what this is a model that scientists use to explain why gases behave the way they do. And so what you see in front of you is just a container filled with a gas. And we're going to use this model to explain what's happening in there. Now, a model doesn't necessarily mean what you might think. When you hear the word model, you tend to think of like model airplanes or model cars or like a small representation of something. It can mean that, but it doesn't have to mean just that. It can also refer to something that you store in your mind. It's a shorthand, easier way to think about something. And kinetic theory is a shorthand way to think about gases. And so the way it works is that the first part of kinetic theory is that we say all gases are made of these tiny little particles, and those are what you see floating around here. You can see these are neon atoms floating around inside this container. And we say that these atoms are constantly moving. So all of these, if you'll notice, you can't really find one that's holding still. Some of them are moving slower than others. Some of them are moving much faster, but they're all moving. And notice that if you pick one and follow it, which is really hard to do, that it doesn't stay the same speed all the time. The speed of these things changes as they bump into each other. So again, the first part of kinetic theory is that all gases and all matter even is made of these little particles that are constantly moving. They never ever stop. The second part says that when these particles bump into each other, there's no loss of energy. Now that's just a very technical way to say that when they bump into each other, they don't change shape, so they don't deform, they don't bend at all, they just bounce directly off each other. You can almost think of billiard balls, like when you play pool, the way the balls bounce off of each other. In kinetic theory, the atoms in a gas will do that same thing with the way they bounce off of each other. The last thing you'll notice is that none of the atoms stick together. Some of them may travel in the same direction for a while. You can see there's a bunch of them here that just keep getting bumped so that they're constantly next to each other. But if you watch any two of them, they never stick. They're always moving, bouncing off of each other, and there's no attraction between any of those particles. So to sum it up, the three parts of kinetic theory. Matter is made of these atoms that are constantly moving. They never stop. When they bounce off of each other, they don't change shape or bend at all, so the energy doesn't change due to that bending. Third, these particles don't stick together in a gas. They're constantly moving apart from each other. And that is kinetic theory.